The Stars are the last team in the NHL to be shut out, and the timing of that couldn't be worse. Hey, everyone, tough night to do a post-game show, but that's why we're here. Welcome to another edition of Spits and Suds. I'm Gavin Spittle of 1053 The Fan. Stars lose at the American Airlines, a much-hyped game, 4-0 against the Winnipeg Jets, and basically Winnipeg will take the Central Division. Looks like the Stars will play the Avalanche in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your tweets. Let's just talk. Should we move the couch back out? Should I set the timer for an hour so that we can get this counseling session go? I feel like we've done that a lot lately. But I often say this, let's take the Stars hat off and realize the reality. And some of you are going to just disagree with this. And I appreciate fan stands for, fan is short for fanatic. And I give a ton of credit to Stars fans, loud and proud in that barn before the puck drop tonight. This was a hyped up game that people wanted to go to, and everyone was excited. That said, 4 games against Winnipeg this year. You were 1-3, and that one was based on a big third period. But pretty much you were beaten bad by this Winnipeg Jets squad all year. So that reality needs to set in. And that does not mean you cannot go on a playoff run. That doesn't mean if you face Winnipeg that you can't beat them. I mean, look at tonight's first period. They were pretty much even. That was a quality first period. But over time, it appears as though the best team won tonight. Not to mention, Winnipeg was already the best defensive team in the NHL. And then they get Neil Pionk back. And he's a top 4 defenseman with most teams in the NHL. So they get one of their top D men back. And what is it the equivalent of? You don't want to say an Esa Lindell. You don't want to say a Thomas Harley or a Miro Heiskanen, but a really, really quality defenseman back for Winnipeg. Not to mention they have the goalie that's going to win the Vezina Trophy back there, and Connor Hellebuyck. I always like to get this in because we are based here in Texas. Former Odessa Jackalope in the North American Hockey League as a junior. So Hellebuyck shined tonight, and unfortunately, the Stars get shut out. So let's talk about this, and then we'll take your tweets, and we'll go through it, and then we'll further talk about this game as Sean Shapiro joins me tomorrow for another Spits and Suds podcast. So Connor Hellebuyck only had to make 24 saves tonight. So once again, the Stars, and throughout the night, I mean, there were a few quality chances, but it wasn't like they were peppering Connor Hellebuyck. And that had more to do with the Winnipeg Jets defense stifling the Stars offense. But you could see the Stars were making an effort to try to get in front of Connor Hellebuyck. So you have to give the Stars credit there. I don't think tonight had anything to do with tired legs or lack of effort. They just were beat. Then we get to Kyle Connor, Stars killer Kyle Connor. And you know what? It's not just the Stars now. It's Kyle Connor, everyone's killer. 2 more goals for Connor, a career high 94 points, 40 goals, 54 assists. So we talk about Wyatt Johnston, we talk about Maverick Bourque, we talk about Logan Stankoven, we talk about Jake Ottinger, we talk about Jason Robertson on the Stars, we talk about Miro Heiskanen, all being terrific picks for Jim Nill. And the great thing about those picks is it makes us forget about, and unfortunately, I am a glutton for punishment, 2015 NHL draft, where Kyle Connor was selected by the Winnipeg Jets. Prior to that, with the 12th pick overall, the Stars select Denis Gurianov. It happens, right? It happens. And by the way, Don't think I'm a hater, because if you're in Winnipeg or name your NHL city, are you not kicking yourself every time Wyatt Johnston scores, every time Jason Robertson, every time Jake Ottinger makes a save, Maverick Bork, Logan Stankoven? It goes on and on. Liam Bichel. So the Stars have hit on more than they've missed, but certainly Kyle Connor fooled a lot of people. By the way, Matthew Barzal also drafted late in that first round, another great player. So interesting draft. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, go down 2015. Can we agree that Josh Morrissey of the Winnipeg Jets is a top 2 defenseman in the Central? And yes, I'm saying Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, and then I'll put Miro Heiskanen at number 3. And then I'll put Brock Faber up there and Thomas Harley. Probably Harley before Faber. But Josh Morrissey, really quality two-way player. And for those that don't know at home, when I say two-way players, a lot of times, some of you are saying that are hockey fans. Well, of course I know what a two-way player, but the objective of Spits and Suds is to teach, is to grow this great game. So a two-way player is not just an offensive player, equally as good at defense. And in Josh Morrissey's case, he kills penalties. So you're looking at one of the top defensemen in this league who's also playing on special teams. And he's not a big guy, but he uses all of the size that he has. And he's a quality defenseman. So I just wanted to point that out. I just didn't want, sometimes I do like all stars on this podcast, but I think it's important to talk about the other team, because this other team is really good. And you can sell me on the point, well, Winnipeg has lost to Colorado last year, and they could be one and done. Any team in the NHL could be one and done. But does Gavin Spittle think that possibly Winnipeg could be the Western Conference representative in the Stanley Cup? Ooh, I might be looking at Winnipeg, Toronto. Call me crazy. I know you will, because both of them have first round exits. But I kind of get that hockey hawk sense that both teams are very well rounded. And Winnipeg showed why tonight. I also don't like to necessarily dog individual players sometimes, because as you sit on this Stars couch with me, that I've tried to be optimistic about this team. It is what it is based on the injuries throughout the year. Specifically, your best defenseman going down, that logs minutes, that takes on the best player. When the best lines are on the ice, Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars is defending those best lines. So to lose him makes things very, very tough. But are we not talking about the captain enough? Jamie Benn, his scoreless streak is up to 13 games. He's been stuck on 399 goals for a while. That's not counting the 2 games that he didn't play. Guys, Jamie Benn only has 8 goals since January 1st. That's in 40 games played, nearly half the season. Jamie Benn only has 16 goals on the season. Do I want Jamie Benn back? I know Jim Nill said, if I'm here, Jamie Benn's here. I do. And this is a May, June, Sean Shapiro, Gavin Spittle conversation, Spits and Suds. But I do have to say this now. Producer Gregory Finley and I were talking before this broadcast, and he brought up a good point. Nils Lundqvist coming back, Miro Heiskanen coming back, hopefully both full steam. Maybe if I'm Nils Lundqvist, I re-sign with this team. But I think that is one of the things as we look at this season is they just don't have puck-moving defensemen. They have Thomas Harley, and that's basically it. And you went from 3 quality puck-moving defensemen, and you can dog Nils Lundqvist, but he was having a really good campaign before he got injured. He was playing with a lot of confidence. Remember, Nils Lundqvist was not getting bumped from the top 6 defensemen on this team. He was playing over Matt Dumba. So let's keep that in mind. So it was tough to have two of your puck-moving defensemen go down. I think that's really hurt, specifically against defensive squads like tonight, where Winnipeg can get back. So can this team get out of the funk? I'm not sure. You would think that playing in Nashville and playing in Detroit certainly would help, but those teams have nothing to play for, and those are the most dangerous teams. So it might be tough to catch momentum, and you have Utah on Saturday night, and Utah can beat everyone at any time. I know David Castillo's listening right now and saying there's Gavin's Utah plug, and he might be right, but Utah is a much improved team, former Arizona Coyotes, for those that don't know. And so they come in to the AAC on Saturday night. Now, just like I said that Winnipeg was a really bad matchup for the Stars this year, Utah has been an excellent matchup, probably one of the better matchups for the Stars all season. So be really, really interesting to see what they do on Saturday night. So really from the mid-second period on, it was all Winnipeg Jets. Nino Niederreiter gave Winnipeg a 1-0 lead late in the first period. Nothing you can do about this. Niederreiter gets behind the Dallas defense. Nowadays, it's not like the old days. The old days, you had our friend Craig Ludwig standing behind the person and basically giving a nice little two-handed cross-check to the lower back. Don't do that anymore. And a lot of teams do the following. They play in front because you can no longer move that player out because it's a penalty. It's either a slash, a trip, or holding. So what teams do is they play in front of that player and they respect the goaltender that if the puck gets behind them, that the goaltender can stop. But what it also allows players to do that get behind, in this instance, the Dallas Stars defense, is tip a play. And that Nino Niederreiter tip, I don't know if there's a goalie that stops that. It was a Morrissey point shot, high slot, Niederreiter with a beautiful tip. And really kind of was tough because until that point, the Stars were playing really equal hockey with the Winnipeg Jets. So 1-0. Morgan Barron made it 2-0. And Winnipeg scored basically within 5 minutes of each other. Intermission in between. And this one was a tough one to see. And I think this is the argument that Jim Nill and Stars personnel can make when people like you and I are saying, why isn't Liam Bichsel playing? Why isn't Liam Bichsel? Why is he down in the American Hockey League? He's ready. Well, on that play, he wasn't ready. He did two things that would be considered errors. One, Bichel's a big guy. He could have used his physicality, but instead used his stick. And he used his stick because he kind of got out of whack and he moved to the outside. And you cannot allow a player to pull the puck inside like Morgan Barron did. And then what Barron was able to do was kind of cross and go to the other side and just made Liam Bichsel look bad. So kind of walked around him. So tough play for Bichsel. And you hate to see it, but it's a learning opportunity. And you hate to see it against a game in which you are fighting for the Central Division title. But hopefully it's one of those plays that Liam Bichsel makes once and that doesn't happen again. I mean, kudos to Morgan Barron. Really nice moves. But I think maybe Liam Bichsel in a couple of years uses his physicality and pushes him off the puck. So that made it 2-0. Kyle Connor extended the lead to 3-0 in the third period. Oscar Beck back in the lineup. Blackwell sits. He turned the puck over in the Winnipeg zone. And I believe it was Scheifele that sprung Kyle Connor for a breakaway. Just nifty wrists. Those like Wyatt Johnston-like wrists with the moves. Went 5-hole on Jake Ottinger. That opened up because he kept pulling it left and right. It was a beauty. 3-0. And then Kyle Connor with his second goal of the game. I hate these Stars killers that come in. It was a shot at the edge of the right face-off circle. No look, one touch pass in the slot from Jared Anderson. Just a real nice play. And that is your ball game. So the Stars really didn't have any sustainable offense. And, it's disappointing. But watching that game, and I hate to say it because, remember, I was a Stars season ticket holder. A lot of times I wear this team on my sleeve. And as frustrated as I want to get, I also want to take a step back. And I think we should and just say, you know what? As of right now, playoffs clearly determine what your identity is. And right now, Winnipeg does not have an identity because they keep getting bounced in the playoffs. But as for now, heck of a job, Winnipeg. You deserve the Central Division crown. You basically led all year long. And the job that Scott Arniel has done with this team is truly impressive. They have layers, as I mentioned. They're great defensively, best in the NHL. They have the best goaltender in the NHL. Scheifele has rebounded to have an amazing season offensively. Obviously, mentioned Kyle Connor, Niederreiter. They just have a lot of quality players on this Winnipeg squad. So stick tap to them. All right, let's get to your tweets because you guys had a plenty tonight. Before we do that, I do want to put a smile on everyone's face, and I want to tell you a quick story, and hopefully you'll just allow me to tell this quick story because obviously this is a Stars podcast. So a few years back, just like you who sends in your questions, and I love your questions and I love your opinions. Thank you so much. There was a person who would be tweeting in questions and opinions. And it was written differently than other tweets that I've seen. So I reached out and I said, thank you so much for listening to Spits and Suds. You ask really good hockey questions. Did you happen to play at one time? And then I got back a link from Hockey DB. And Hockey DB is we use elite prospects and Hockey DB, and basically it's statistics from players around the world. And that included Florian Wiesel, who is a Spits and Suds listener. And Florian just won the Italian Hockey League Championship. So a Spits and Suds listener is raising and celebrating and drinking from the cup tonight. He's an amazing story. He's had a wonderful year. He's played a heck of a lot of hockey in Italy. What a career, Florian, you have had. So just take a moment. Haven't done this in a while because we haven't had a Stars win, but you deserve that, my friend. We at Spits and Suds are so proud of you. And if you want to congratulate Florian, it's at FWeezer55. I'll spell it out for you. At FWIESER55. And I also said, I think it was last year, if you are a Spits and Suds listener, tell me where you're from and I'll come visit you and we'll enjoy a Frosty together. So I was expecting, hey, Gavin, I live in Plano. Hey, I live in Frisco. Hey, I live in North Dallas. Hey, I live in Fort Worth. Absolutely would have got in my car. Let's party. And then comes Florian Wiesel in Northern Italy. My friend, I need to get on a flight and we need to celebrate it together. So congratulations. And thank you, Spits and Suds listeners, for allowing me to say that. He's a great story. Okay. Let's get to your tweets. I just didn't want to tag that at the end. I wanted to highlight it. All right. John Reich goes by at Lord Reich 72. The lines need to be shuffled for sure. There doesn't seem to be any chemistry there anymore. Dumba and Cece need to be hidden behind a shed. Ooh, a shed on ice. Hopefully, Nils and Miro come back soon to take their place. Well, Nils Lundqvist is not coming back. Miro Heiskanen is scheduled, and I mean scheduled, to come back in the second round, possibly. So likelihood of first round, unlikely. I think, John, what we have is what we have. So personally, I think we need to go Esa Lindell and Thomas Harley together and try to go from a position of strength there. But at the same time, I think Pete DeBoer's limited in what he can do. Once again, they've lost 3 puck-moving defensemen. Dallas fan 72. That's at Dallas Stars 70, at Dallas Stars fan 72. Was replying to Noisy Cricket and saying, I'm as pessimistic as well. I didn't believe it when the so-called experts saying that with the trade, the Stars were a cup favorite. In fact, I think that if they are lucky enough to get by the Avalanche, they won't get past the next round. I do hope that I'm wrong. And it was Husky that was writing saying, I hate being super pessimistic all the time. But if Dallas shown us over the last week that they'll be fine in the playoffs, well, I think, yeah, Husky, they have not. They're no longer finding ways to win. The D is getting worse and worse. Power play has cooled off. The PK has shown some cracks. It's not a good sign. Yes, they are struggling at the wrong time of year while others are streaking. So is there still time? 3 games left to pull it together? Yeah, I think they could have a nice little run and have some confidence going to the playoffs. But right now, this is just a team that I think is holding the stick handles maybe a little too hard, getting out of position at times, and just not playing the game that they can. And this happens with teams, by the way. This is not necessarily a Stars issue. This is just a sports and teams go into slumps issue. But we talk about the defense a lot, and I just want to say this real quick. Many people have said, well, they shouldn't have got Mikko Rantanen, and they should have got a defenseman instead. So my question to you is, and please do the research, what defenseman was available that you would have traded for that would have made a major impact? I mean, Brandon Carl gets traded from Boston to Toronto, big 6'5" defenseman. But does that solve your issues on the blue line? It might help. But is Brandon Carl that much better? Savard in Montreal? Is Savard shot blocker? But is he that much better than what you have? I mean, maybe if you're talking third line pairings. But remember, before the injuries, prior to the injuries, Matt Dumba was not playing a lot. So injuries certainly have affected this. And how much do you want to mortgage your future? And I understand right now, as of now, even though he's basically a point per game since coming to the Stars, you want players like Mikko Rantanen, similar to what Kyle Connor did tonight. You want Mikko Rantanen to shine. Mikko Rantanen wants Mikko Rantanen to shine. But I'm telling you, when you have the chance to get an elite player in the NHL, you get that elite player. And so that's why I'll never dog, whether he works out or not. I will not dog Jim Nill for that. All right, J.W. Streifel says, I really like Liam Bichel. He's going to be great. But this is why D-men take longer to get ready for the show. Not only just D-men in general. Remember, Thomas Harley was sent back down and had to basically play most of the year in the AHL before being called up. That was last year. But big defensemen like Liam Bichel seem to take even longer. Zdeno Chara, Tyler Myers. Zdeno Chara is probably like the shining example. Do you know Zdeno Chara played for the New York Islanders? You know what? Not many others do as well. You know, Zdeno Chara played for the Ottawa Senators, and that's where he started to play well. And that's when the Boston Bruins went and got him as a free agent. But think about that. It took time. Same for Tyler Myers. Same for Jamie Alexiak is another good example. Look at how many years Jamie Alexiak was with the Stars. And maybe in his final, before being traded to Pittsburgh, Alexiak was starting to look really good. But big defensemen take time to develop. Daniel Cure. The people hyping this game before the puck drop were the media and the team. And it was basically disguised, begging for folks to tune in or show up. Fans who were willing to be honest with themselves knew what was coming. I mean, we all knew that Winnipeg was good, Daniel, but I don't think we overhyped this. This was a chance prior to this past weekend to gain ground and potentially pass at that time Winnipeg for the Central Division title, which would have enabled you to not play Colorado in the first round and maybe play Minnesota, a team that you have fared very well against in the NHL playoffs in previous years. I don't think that's overhyping a situation. I think this was a very, very large impact game. So I don't think it was a media situation. I think it was, heck, it was talked about in NHL circles. So this was one of the teams on the national radar. So I don't think it was overhyped. But I do appreciate the tweet. And I appreciate the opinion as well. Chris Stabkoven. Gavin, I actually think they played a solid game. Results weren't there. A couple of mistakes ended up in our net, but overall a solid, encouraging effort. Play that way most nights, and you'll win. Winnipeg just better tonight. What did you think of tonight, sir? I thought it was an excellent first period. Second and third, I just think Winnipeg is a shutdown defensive team. I mean, they have some crazy stat where they have over 30 wins after scoring the first goal. I mean, they just lock it down, and they're just such a good team. So, yeah, I don't think the Stars necessarily played bad. I just am looking for certain players to ring the bell and say, whoa, what a night when Matt Duchene had to step up, when Jamie Benn had to step up, man, when Wyatt Johnston had to step up, when Jake Ottinger had to step up. Not that Ottinger played bad. I mean, 3 of those goals to me weren't on him, even 4. I mean, but at the same time, you need your goaltender to stand on his head against the Winnipeg Jets. So there were a lot of players that could have stepped up, Chris, but I mean, I don't disagree with you. I don't think it was their worst effort. I mean, I think Pittsburgh, I was more frustrated with. Vancouver, I was more frustrated with at times, obviously the last minute of play. But tonight, I think you just faced a team that's playing much better hockey right now. I mean, heck, they stopped the Blues winning streak the other night. Steven at Steady Rhythms, likely result. How could you expect different? Solid 40 minutes of team play with the difference being costly mistakes, and Hellebuck was fair, but then capped off with yet another awful third period of being outshot. They just can't do this without Miro. Bad season to be all in. I mean, all in and what? I mean, all in, yes, as far as the trade for Granlund, as far as the trade for CC, and you did give up a first-round pick. But, okay, what else? I mean, yeah, they made a lot of trades. I guess my question, Stephen, is all in. All in got me an elite player for the next 8 years who I really think is going to dominate. We could be looking at a 100-point player. That is not a frequent situation in Dallas Stars hockey history. For that matter, Minnesota North Stars hockey history. So, yeah, you gave up a lot of draft capital in a Logan Stankoven. But I'll take Rantanen any day. Matto, warm up the golf clubs. This team is not getting by the Avs. They might even back themselves out of home ice. Awesome. I mean, Or they could be like the Texas Rangers a couple of years ago when the Texas Rangers lost, 9 straight when they backed into the playoffs, when they beat Seattle to get in, and only to have to go to Tampa, and they pulled off a miracle in Tampa, and then they went to Baltimore and everyone said it's over because Baltimore has the bye, and then the Texas Rangers beat Baltimore. And then it was Houston. Well, obviously they can't beat Houston, and then they went into Houston and they were down by, 2 games. It was, and then they came back. It was 3-2 going to Houston. They won game 6 and then won game 7. And then they played the Arizona Diamondbacks, which, by the way, eliminated the Atlanta Braves and also the LA Dodgers. And then they beat them and set the major league record as far as most consecutive wins on the road. They were undefeated. Did anyone think at that first playoff game against Tampa that the Texas Rangers would be World Series champions and take home the first World Series title here in DFW history? Of course not. So do I think they can exit in the first round? Absolutely. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully you do too. I mean, just enjoy it. That's what I say. Just enjoy it. Robbie says they seem to be having an identity crisis before the playoffs start. Jets only needed to let the Stars inevitably fall on their face to win. I don't know if they're facing an identity crisis. I just think that basically if teams can shut down the Dallas Stars and neutralize their speed, the Stars will get beat. I just don't think the Stars can match teams like the Jets with physicality. I think the Jets are much better defensively. So the Jets can beat you defensively, offensively, physicality, and with their goaltender. And that's why I think they have a good shot of being Western Conference champions. I mean, you guys may disagree, but versatility wins the day in pro hockey. All right. Our good Dr. Meyer Patel checks in. Got a feeling Pete DeBoer may bury Bischel the way he did Lundqvist last year with the way he's playing right now, maybe playing with effectively 5 defensemen like they had to last year versus Vegas. That's a great question. Interesting to see because, yes, they did bury Lundqvist last year. Will they go with 5? I think this is different, my good doctor, just based on the defensemen that are out there, and you don't have Miro Heiskanen. I think that's awfully tough to play 5 defensemen right now. And, one thing to bring up, I'm pulling this stat up real quick as I talk to you, because another reason why I don't think that can happen. Thomas Harley finished tonight's game with 24:49, 24 minutes, 49 seconds of ice time. It's the 22nd time this season, 15th time since January 31st that Harley has logged at least 24 minutes and 49 seconds of ice time in a game. So think about that. Thomas Harley is logging a lot of minutes. So while I understand your question and at first agree with you, I don't know what defenseman you can protect. You can only protect so much because I think your defensemen are going to get awfully tired and worn down, like I do think they were last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Crow Wi-Fi always checks in. Thank you so much, my friend. A very sad outing by the Stars. I can't see Sagan injecting enough play to get this team past the first round. I hope they end the regular season with a bang. I hope so too. You know what? I'm excited to have Tyler Sagan back. I'm excited to see where this team plays him, how many minutes he's going to log. I think he does have the potential to inject some offense, so to speak. Remember, Tyler Sagan comes in wherever he plays, people move down. So even if he doesn't play on the second line, that third line becomes a lot stronger. And then that third line player goes down to the fourth line. So it helps overall. Not to mention, once again, Tyler Sagan has become a very good two-way player in my book. So great to have him back on the ice. All right, Eric at Ely 2014, they are cooked. Joe, you can't turn around bad defense. Trevor Harris checks in. Hey, Trevor. Hey, Gavin, what would you do with defense pairings? And also, what is your projected lineup for game one of the playoffs if it starts today? Oh, my goodness. Can I get back to you on that, Trevor? Or maybe, we could mention it with Sean Shapiro tomorrow. But I stick with Rantanen, Hintz, and Robertson as my first line. I stick with Granlund. You know what? Check that. I am going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to go Mason Marchment, Matt Duchene, and Tyler Seguin, if Seguin can log those minutes. I'm going to move Granlund down. I'm actually thinking at this point, and they won't do this, do you put Jamie Benn on the fourth line? Based on what he's done this second half of the season. Just throwing it out there. Great question, though, Trevor. Appreciate it. I think defensive pairings, you basically have to, keep it the same. Basically, you have two defensemen that are very good. I'm not dogging Cody Ceci. I'm not dogging Ilya Lyubushkin. I just think, once again, similar to the forward situation, if you had your healthy defenseman, Ilya Lyubushkin would be a third pairing defenseman. That's all. Supernova overs. Is it time to yell at them now? I mean, you can yell. I'm listening. I'm just not going to do it right now. Bubba Knocker. Well, if there's anything to pull from this, now's the time to focus on Colorado. Home ice is locked up. It's time to start trimming minutes here and there and maybe even resting guys. I think they could rest guys here and there, but at the same time, is it rest or do they want to get the bad rust off? Adam Deacon, this defense is nothing short of embarrassing. This team is soft and turned the puck over needlessly so many times. Yeah, the turnovers are tough. Great point. The turnovers. No bueno. That becomes tough. When you turn over the puck, specifically, you send the other team the other way. When we look at giveaways, and this talks about efficiency, two stats that I look at. Giveaways, Stars, 26, Winnipeg, 9. Think about that. 26 times you gave the puck away. On top of that, face-off win percentage. And why is this important, Gavin? Because face-off win percentage, when the puck is dropped, you get puck possession. 57.4% to 42.6%. Remember, the Stars over the past couple of years have been one of the better face-off win teams in the NHL. As of late, teams have been beating them in the face-off circle. So 57.4 to 42.6, 26 giveaways to 9. To me, those are 2. Now, hits can be different because you have someone in the building that's determining what a hit is. But the Jets postgame talked about the physicality and slowing this Stars team down. 44 hits from the Jets tonight, 27 from the Stars. Almost 50 hits in the game for the Winnipeg Jets. They knew what they had to do. That was part of their strategy. They told us this in the postgame, and it was very effective. So sometimes you look at stats and you say to yourself, well, I don't know, like shots on goal, yeah, great. They had shots on goal, but were they quality chances? Totally with you. But I think the analytics I just read off are pretty telling as far as how this game went. Okay, Chris Barnard says, difficult game to watch. I want to remain optimistic that playoffs will dictate a tighter game that could favor the Stars. Dallas is built on advancing the pucks, and they lost not just Miro, but Nils as well. True. Time to experiment with D who can skate, scratch Lyubushkin. Going to be tough, my friend, to scratch anybody at this point. I mean, those are your top 6. I mean, you've tried calling up some players during the season and it just has not worked out. So not much you can do. You are limited in what you could do. So once again, let me take a quick drink. Enjoy a delicious Frosty on a Thursday night. Because of Florian Wiesel, we have a Spits and Suds listener that just won the cup in the Italian League. And by the way, when you dig even deeper, Game 5, he scores with just over a minute left to win the game for his team. So I'm excited. I'm excited. And that's going to put a smile on my face tonight. Obviously, the team didn't, but that puts a smile on my face. All right, we'll dig a little bit deeper into this Stars team tomorrow as our NHL and Spits and Suds and Stars insider Sean Shapiro will join us tomorrow morning. So expect that out probably tomorrow afternoon. And we'll talk Stars, we'll talk NHL, a lot going on. So all that and more on the next edition of Spits and Suds as we continue to turn these out, getting ready for the playoffs with you. I can't say it enough. I probably say it too much. Stick Tap, thank you so much for making us the top hockey podcast in DFW, the top hockey podcast with our company, Odyssey. It means everything that you guys have responded and said, hey, we love this podcast, because as much as it has my name on it, I wish I could put each and every one of your names on it as well, because you deserve it. So until next time, for another edition of Spits and Suds, I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3, The Fan. Have a great day, everyone.